Have you ever had an idea, you ever had a thought, and you said to yourself, if I just had the resources, if I had this amount of money, I would do X, Y, Z. I think we've all been there in life where you like, if I just had this, I could do this. You see something and you want to do it, but you do not have the resource. And one of the things that we learn about even having that mindset or that desire is, say you want $1 million. If I don't have the mindset of wealth for winning $1 million, I will quickly lose. I will do something with it, but it won't be anything good, right? Because I didn't see myself as being wealthy. I just saw myself as having this money, and I used it in a way that didn't reflect, my character didn't reflect what it was that I was given. And I'm guilty, right? I've been guilty. And so what am I saying? There are seers and there are doers, and there are also seers who do. And there's never been a time in history where that wasn't necessary to get anything done. And I'll tell you a quick story, because there's a nuanced thing here. I had a friend call me, and he's a leader. He's a local leader. And I want to add, we're all leaders. So this is like, if you got children, you are a leader. If you got a job, if you do anything at your church or a group or a team, or you're a supervisor, you are a leader. We all take levels of responsibility for being leaders at certain areas of our life, right? And so he called me up, and he's a leader. He said, man, I got an issue. And he's like, I know you always got an idea, bro. He was like, I got an issue, and I want to be able to properly deal with it. And he told me what it was, and I said, I got an idea. I said, you should do X, Y, Z, or here's another one better. You should do X, Y, Z. Couple weeks passed. He calls me up. He said, I'm gonna take your advice. He said, I took your advice, bro. We're pricing some things out, because he's a doer. He has the resource, but he didn't see it. He called a seer, and I like to think I'm a little bit of both, and we all are, right? So this is what he said. He said, I'm taking plan B of what you said do. And he said, and this is what he said. He said, but there is something that I need you to do. Check me out. He called me and said, you saw it, but now I am going to assign something for you to do to what it is that you see. You're not just going to see it. And then I said, bro, I got you. I said, whatever it is that you need, if I'm capable of doing it, I'm going to do it. Right. And so we live in that tension of life, and where everyone is needed. I want to say every doer is not a seer, but in many cases you need a doer or nothing will get done. But a doer is not necessarily someone who is innovative, and a seer sometimes has to be assigned a thing to do. And because we think a seer, like if I work at a company, right, I should be able to, at that company, if the boss needs a proposal or different things like that, I have to follow the line of how it's done. But there are some people that see, and then they suck at doing a proposal. So it does no good to want an extra thing out of them. You have to assign it to them. And sometimes you find that they're good at seeing, but they ain't that good at doing. But they might be good. You're like, bro, you're gonna be at this event. You at least gonna help us put up some chairs or something, right? Because there's something that the seer can do. But every seer is not a doer, and every doer is not a seer, and there are seers who also do. I don't know if that makes sense, but I want you to sit with that, because this is the prayer, is that in our lives we have all of that. I think that's the beauty of the fivefold ministry. As from a Christendom standpoint, is that it allows everybody to work in a way where there's no weak spots, where there's able to be strength in one area that someone else may be weak in another area. And the same happens with our job. The same happens with our children. There are things my children have an idea, and I say, okay, you got that idea? I need X, Y, Z out of you. Right? I see what you see, but now I need you to do something, and then we're going to see what happens from what it is that you saw. Right? And so there's this dance that's happening in life, and we need everybody. We need the seers, we need the doers, we need the seers who do. We need it all. And there's never been a season where it was not necessary. And I pray in this season that whatever God has called you to do, that you see that God would also provide the resource. Right? Because sometimes you see, and guess what? You just don't have the resource to do the thing that you see. But I'm believing in this next season that God will provide it all.